Welcome. Good morning. I'm really very, very pleased to see you attending this meeting. As I said in the email, this was for initiating the seminars. I think in this institution is not the first time, but meanwhile we were all sleeping, but we want to redo again this kind of seminars. And why seminar? We want to organize this seminar in order to facilitate exchange of knowledge, research findings from different projects, and they're going in different programs. And in order also to share postgraduate studies, PhD, MSc, why not BSc also, and also all short trainings undertaken outside the country, and also research extension. You know, RAB now is for research and extension, and I know that most of us, we don't know what is happening in extension. So we give also time for extension people to present the way they do the extension. Okay, for today, our speaker will be Dr. AfricaPart1, and I really thank him because he made me start this process. And he will present on the distribution and management of banana, Fusarium, wilt in East and Central Africa. This is part of his PhD. It's not all the work, but part of his work. And also, after the presentation, we will have to discuss the way to sustain this exercise. And we will discuss also about what have to be present in the seminar, what time, what day, even though we choose the Friday, and for how long. Is it 1 hour? Is it 2 hours? We will discuss today. Thank you very much. Dr. Patrick, you are welcome.
Thank you so much indeed, Noria, for the introduction. So as she mentioned, I'd like to share with you some of the results of my PhD. So because of the time and probably also the area which is not common to everybody, I didn't put all the details of my PhD, but I just looked for the main things which we could share. My talk is on the distribution and the management of banana Fusarium wilt in East and Central Africa. It's a study which I conducted in 5 countries of this region: Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, DRC, and Tanzania. And I was interested in investigating how this fungus is varied and distributed, both phenotypically, but also genetically, at the molecular level and also at the field level, the variations which exist, and also explore management options based on information we get from this study. So to start with, I would like to start with the introduction, a background on banana. As most of you must know, banana, which is Musa species, a part of the Musa genus, their bananas are among the most important crops in the world. Indeed, the dessert bananas, they are the most important fresh fruits in the world. But the cooking bananas, they are the major staple for more than 400 million people in Africa, Asia, and America. As you can see on that picture, for example, the picture in the middle, unfortunately, you don't have the pointer to point where we want. But you can see, for example, that's a farm in Ecuador, where Ecuador is one of the major exporters of bananas. I think it's the top in the world. And the economy is heavily based on banana. We export to the US. But you can see farms where they use aeroplanes to spread the fungicides, for example. It's highly mechanized. It's a very important industry in some countries in Central America. So it's a major cash crop for some countries, where it could even be compared to oil for some other countries here in Arab countries. In some countries like Ecuador, it is highly important. What about banana production in Africa? Africa is one of, some countries in Africa are the major producers of bananas, especially cooking bananas. Actually, the top five largest producers of bananas, cooking bananas, are in Africa, and include Rwanda as well. And banana is also in Africa a major staple and a source of income for millions of livelihoods, especially in our region. And did you know that the highest per capita consumption of banana in the world is found in Africa, in Eastern Central Africa? Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Eastern DRC, Kagera region of Tanzania. This area is where banana is consumed most in the world, in the whole world. Despite this importance of bananas in our region, banana yields in Africa are generally lowest compared to the rest of the world. I looked at the statistics of FAO for over 40 years, from 1970s up to recently. You will realize that if you compare, for example, here, this is a chart I constructed based on FAO statistics, which compares banana production in Rwanda, Uganda, and Burundi, and Ecuador, and Indonesia. 40 years back, in 1971, banana yields in the world were generally low, around 10, that's in tons per hectare, around 10 tons per hectare. It was generally around the same. But over the years, as you can see, banana yields in Ecuador and Indonesia and many countries in those areas, they went increasing by far. But banana yields in Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi kept decreasing. By 2011, banana yields in Indonesia was more than 6 times higher than in Rwanda, Uganda, and Burundi. And the banana yields in Ecuador was 4 times higher than in Rwanda, Uganda, and Burundi. I think now you start wondering what's wrong with our region. Why is it like that? Why this situation? Why this trend? And the trend continues. For years, they keep decreasing. We're going to discuss some of the causes. First of all, this region, East and Central Africa, according to FAO, the United Nations and other studies, it's one of the most densely populated in the world. Over 80% of livelihoods in this region depend on low input subsistence agriculture. This has consequences. Most soils in ECA, in East and Central Africa, are highly weathered. Soil scientists here will agree with me that these soils, fertile soils, acrid soils, and elite soils, are the most predominant here in this region and are not favorable for banana production because they require heavy fertilization and liming, which is not affordable to most farmers in our region. And in addition to these abiotic constraints, banana is one of the most vulnerable crops to diseases and pests, and that's where my study mostly comes in. This is especially due to its clonal reproduction nature, which implies that it has a low genetic base. The fact that banana multiplies by suckers, it means that they are almost the same genetically. There are no major difference in their genetic backgrounds. And if a disease comes, it will destroy most of them. So this is a problem. Among the major diseases of bananas, there is this banana Fusarium wilt, which I worked on. Its symptoms, as you can see, you will see that the banana plant will have a yellowing of leaves, and they will eventually collapse, making like a skirt around the pseudostem. It has to be differentiated from other diseases like xanthomonas wilt. It's not the Kiravira commonly known, which burns the leaves, which looks like smoked. But this one, they are yellow, and they collapse. And when you cut the banana plant, the banana pseudostem, you will find that there is a discoloration of xylem vessels due to occluding of gels. And the pathogen is soil-borne. It starts from the roots. But then the plant, as it's trying to struggle to control the fungus invasion, it produces these products, which was occluding gels, to block the progress of the fungus. But by doing so, it will end up suiciding itself. As I said, this Fusarium wilt is caused by this fungus. It is called Fusarium oxysporum, former species Kibense. Fusarium, because Fusarium in French, you know, fusiform, this form. That name is due to the spores, how they look like. The shape of the spores, as you can see, which are like banana-shaped or canoe-shaped or fusé. In culture, when you grow it as a pure culture, or in media, it looks like that. That's a culture on PDA, that's the mycelia of the fungus in culture. But you can't tell from the culture if this is which species or which strain, because there is a lot of variation of Fusarium. There are many in the soil which are not pathogenic. Actually, most Fusarium is not pathogenic. Only a small fraction is pathogenic, but they all look the same phenotypically in culture media. So that's where there is a lot of studies in discriminating between strains. This fungus is one of the most destructive of all plant diseases in whole disease history. In the history of plant pathology, this pathogen has been classified among the top 10 pathogens in the world because of its history and the impact. In the 1900s, in Central America, there was a lot of banana production industry, very vibrant banana industry, which was nearly bankrupted by this fungus. You can see a banana farm which is completely decimated by Fusarium wilt, how it looks like. This fungus, this pathogen, has got a pantropical distribution. Wherever bananas are grown, basically you will find this pathogen. And it comes into races. There's Fusarium race 1 and race 2. These races, in yellow, there's the race 1 and 2. And in the red, it's the tropical race 4, which is the most dangerous because it destroys all cultivars. But races 1 and 2 destroys only some cultivars, not all cultivars. But then there's subtropical race 4, which is more found in cold areas of the world. About the distribution, you will see that in that area, what we call Southeast Asia, that area is, most studies argue that that's the origin of the fungus. That's where it comes from. That's from where it spread to all other parts of the world. This assumption is based on the diversity of the fungus, because it is more diverse there. You find all these races there, all the different genotypes of the pathogen. But it went moving. However, even if it was supposed to have evolved from there, it was first reported in Australia in 1876. And from there it moved to Africa through Madagascar. It's supposed to have moved, studies assume that it moved through that route. And from Africa it went to Central America. And later on from Central America it went to South America. And in 1900, as I mentioned before, it made major epidemics because bananas were intensively grown that time with export to the United States. And that's where it got the name Kibense from Cuba. And also the other name is Panama disease. I hope you have heard of Panama disease before. Yes, this disease Fusarium wilt is also referred to as Panama disease because it made a lot of ravages in Panama. So Central America, that's where it made a lot of problems and got the name. Recently, we've seen just 2 years ago, the fungus strain, the most violent strain, has moved to new areas, including Middle East and Africa. Tropical race 4 has been reported in Mozambique, and this makes a big threat to our region because that's the most violent strain, which is coming to us gradually. Let's focus now on this Fusarium management after the background on the banana and the other constraints. Banana Fusarium wilt management, there are no effective options available or validated. Some quite promising but not validated yet. There are attempts to control this fungus by rotation fail. If you have a banana farm which is affected by Fusarium wilt, and you uproot bananas and you grow whatever you want, over 40 years, you come back, you bring bananas, they are killed. So the fungus is able to survive in the farm for over 40 years without banana as a host. And how does it make it? This is because of special structures, sporulating structures, which are called chlamydospores, which are resistant to desiccation. If you want to go into details, you can ask questions later. I spare details because this is a general audience. If it was like a specific audience, I could go in some details. Chemical control and physical control, it has been tried with little success. Sometimes some success, but if you repeat it, it doesn't show success. Erratic success, unreliable results. Studies have tried fumigation with methyl bromide and rhizome injection with carbendazim. It has also been tried solarization, but all these failed. Biological control has been tried, although there are some good results in laboratory and greenhouse, but when you go to field, fail. They used some non-pathogenic strains of Fusarium because they showed some activity against the pathogen, but they failed in the field. Also, there have been uses of Pseudomonas fluorescens also failing. The use of resistant cultivars, the breeding, is the most effective option. If you can breed a resistant variety, that's the best way to control this pathogen, but also most diseases. Usually, plant breeding is the best solution to plant pathogens if they can't be developed. However, the breeding of banana is very difficult. This is why. This is because, first of all, bananas are generally sterile. Yes, they are seedless. Most bananas, you know, they are triploid, which means their genome is triploid. There are 3 sets of chromosomes. This makes problem for breeding. Those who did plant breeding, they understand very quickly that. Indeed, they are also high heterozygous, asexually produced. There are some seeded landraces which exist, but they are unpalatable. As you can see in that picture, you see that banana, what you see inside the brown stuff there, those are what? Those are seeds. Maybe you didn't know that there are some bananas with seeds, did you? Yes, they exist. But you can't eat them, but they are the most resistant. They resist to many diseases. Those are the landraces. But when you do breeding, you have to do several techniques to get the rid of the seeds. That's an example of plant breeding of banana. Dr. Jim Lawrence breeding bananas. It involves a lot of steps. It's very difficult. After several years, like almost 20 years of breeding, sometimes they breed hybrids, but which are not accepted commercially. We've got these FIA hybrids, which have been bred in Honduras, but they have not been able to replace the Cavendish. If you go in Europe, America, in other countries in those countries of Europe, I will maybe try to, but it would be good to have the pictures. Maybe and then we have to do that.
You can switch on
no, in case it comes back. We also be checking that. Tell him in the meantime we will be discussing. We can even discuss the other discussions. Joel. Even we can also discuss what we were supposed to discuss later to save time as they are switching on that. I think I would rather, as we are waiting for electricity, let's discuss some stuff which are relevant to this. We were supposed to discuss the sustainability of these seminars, how often it will be held. Would it be every Friday? Or would it be twice a month? Like